I'm making a little tweeting bird for yarn bombing at my library. I need 2 colors of yarn. I happen to be using, in one case, a Caron 1-pound yarn, which suggests a 5.5mm hook, so that's what I'm using. My orange yarn is just a little bit thinner, but if I hold 2 strands together, the hook is about the same width as 2 strands, so that's good enough. I've marked the yarn at 1 yard intervals so that I can figure out how much I used and give you some guidance. I'm starting with a slip knot. Then I'm chaining 5. This is a little bit of a bigger circle than I would normally do, but I'm going to put in a lot of stitches into this. I'm closing the ring with a slip stitch. Now I'm chaining up 3 because I'm going to make double crochets. Now normally I would put 12 double crochets into the disc because I would want a flat disc, but in this case I want a wavy disc, so I want more than 12 double crochets. So I will make this, I'll count how many I use, and then I'll come back and put the number here. I won't say the numbers out loud, but I'll put them on the screen just in case you're working along with me. Each marker means I've used another yard. I'm going to work under the tail as well as under the chain to try to secure it. I'll speed this up. When the ring's too full, I can slide the stitches around and fit more in. Let me count my stitches so far. I'll put numbers so you don't get confused by hearing me. Speeding up again. That seems enough to make a flat disc, but if I fold it, the fold is straight, and I actually want the fold to be a little bit curved, so I'm going to add more stitches. Okay, that seems enough stitches to make a wavy edge disc, and when I fold it in half, instead of being just a half circle, it's a little bit more, and that's what I want for my bird. The exact number of stitches really doesn't matter. I think maybe I'll add one more. I will slip stitch into the top of the starting chain, and that will close off this disc and complete the wing. And then I finish off. I cut the yarn, I pull the hook out to pull the tail through, and then I work in the tail a little bit. I try to follow the way the yarn goes to make it less visible. So there's the unfolded wing. So I used 3 yards, and then I used another 14 inches I can get by measuring my 4th yard. If you start with 3.5 to 4 yards, maybe 5 yards of the wing color if you're using a thicker yarn, I think that's a good amount. Now I take up the body color. I pull up a loop, and then I chain 3. I make the first chain with both the working yarn and the tail, and that helps secure the tail a little bit. And then I make 2 more chains for a total of 3. I'll put the tail along the top of the chains and try to remember to reach under it as I pull up loops. The first double crochet goes into the same stitch that I had the chain up from. Counting the chain up, I now have 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and now I want to put 2 double crochets into each of the stitches all the way around. Let me speed this up. When I get near the end of the tail, I bring it through the tunnel of stitches to finish it off. I continue with 2 doubles into each stitch. Let me really speed this up. Okay, that was the last one. Now let me slip stitch to close the round. It's definitely not a flat disc. You can see how it's wavy, and when I fold it in half, how it's more than a straight circle. It comes up at the head end and the tail end, and I'm very happy with that. Start the beak with a chain 5. I'm just going to use the body color because I'm trying to keep this simple, but I hope to make another video that shows some variations. Now I'll slip stitch into the stitch next to the one that the chain came out of. To firm up the beak, I will do a double crochet into the center chain of the 5. I'll slip stitch into the same stitch as before, but also into the matching stitch on the far side of the head. Okay, it's not the greatest, but it has the advantage of being relatively simple. I decided to make a lower beak, exactly the same as the first beak. I'm not too happy with how it came out, so you might want to skip this part if you're making it along with me. But I did the same thing. I slip stitched, I chained 5, slip stitched again, and then I put a double crochet into the middle and slip stitched a 3rd time. Just trying to make it look like the bird was tweeting, but I must admit I'm not really happy with how it looks. Now I'm going to slip stitch through both layers, matching the stitches. I want to go about halfway and then pause to make the legs. I'll speed this up. I'm pulling down the 2 strands of the wing color to act as legs. I could tie beads to them or something, but I'm just going to let them hang. And now I'm closing up behind the legs, and I'll keep closing up just a little way more. I'm leaving the rest of the edge open so that I can bend back the tail and make it look like a chicken tail. I could close it up and make it look like a different kind of bird. Then I cut the yarn and finish off the end. I pull the tail through the center of the bird, through the wing, so that I can use it to hang the bird. And there's my tweeting bird, all ready for the yarn bombing. So I could vary this tweeting beak, and maybe just use one. I could make the legs different, maybe add beads to the bottom. I could make a different tail. I could add all sorts of feathers to the back or close it up. But that's my tweeting bird, the simplest version I can make.